we believe we have to be lean, we have to be mindful on where we are spending, and we have to do it one step at a time. The branding and the communication plays a very key role, how the customer perceives you in their mind, and how satisfied he is by using your products or by buying your products. That's the most critical. I think customer service plays a very, very important role. Even now he's in touch and he sends me pack shots of, it's like a retail store for us, right? How many packs are there in a retail store? He actually has those many packs in his kitchen, closet.
Today we have with us a very special guest, Vikas Nahar. Vikas is the founder of Happilo. Happilo is one of the leading consumer brands in India, serving Indian customers healthy snacks and very soon planning to go global. Congratulations, Vikas, and welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you for having me
Pleasure
here.
is all mine, Vikas. Vikas, let's start with your journey. At what point of time in your life you decided to start Happilo?
Started around 2016. Thought process, actually started around 2015. Before that, I was a retailer for good 4 to 5 years. I was running a retail chain of stores, around 15 stores. I co-founded, pretty much based out of Bangalore. The stores were. So we actually wanted to, expand and, looking for newer products. That time, this, the healthy snacking space were actually, were quite nascent in India. There was not much availability of products, and as a retailer I used to experience that the demand was very good. People were used to, willing to pay a price for that, and a lot of stuffs were imported. There were brands like Planters from US, or maybe Tong Garden from Thailand and other countries. So a lot of good brands were there, who were willing to come to India, but they were actually didn't have any organized presence in India. So what will happen is, somebody who is traveling to, say, Gulf countries like Dubai or Singapore maybe, they used to carry some stocks with them while they come back to India, and that was then, sold via Crawford Market, or redistributed in some unorganized channel. So that again there was no, standardization of the products. People used to do just a relabeling of the product and sell at multiple MRPs pan India. At that time there was no MRP strict rules also from Food Safety of India, right? So everything was happening pretty much gray kind of. So we thought somebody in India can build a India story here, if they can come out with something organized, something branded, well packaged, with a plethora of, health benefits. So that's when, Happilo was born, to cater to the Indian audience who actually looking for a premium brand in terms of snacking, dry fruits, and, per se. That's how the brand was born in 2016, late 2016.
Great. So, because there have been so many local brands in India selling dry fruits and healthy snacks, Indians munch on, healthy and both unhealthy snacks, right? And there have been so many local brands serving these snacks to Indian consumers. And you said there was no standardization in the market, right? That was the market gap you realized, or what was the gap you realized, or what was the key insight with which you started?
See, today, with so much of disposable income in India and the kind of growth the country has taken in the last 5 10 years, there's a great demand and great disposable income across all plethoras of life, right? And today, people want to actually eat something which is healthy, and, are willing to pay for the brand. And today people don't want to actually go and, buy dry fruits, where somebody is actually filling it up from a burnie, or, maybe giving in some loose packaging without any proper information of what the product is, when was it packed, what are the hygiene criterias, or even in terms of shelf life. If you buy something from an unorganized market, which is loosely packed, or, filled from a burnie and all, the shelf life won't last much long, right? Matlab, you get it to home, and maybe in 7 days, 15 days, that might spoil as well. So the people today want to associate with the brand. Today it's all about being associated with the brand, and people aspire, to eat products which are good for them. Today, before COVID, actually we are seeing a lot of changes where people wanted to buy branded stuff and all, but COVID has actually reinforced that, you are what you eat kind of thing. So people today want to actually eat stuff which is healthy, which is hygienic, and which can be, represent some, better in terms of their imagery as well. And today people don't want to actually eat something which is unhygienic or poorly packed. They don't trust the quality. Today, I think the brand which is synonym, with quality and taste, that's what we are able to crack, and that's why we see a lot of people who are actually buying from traditional markets earlier, actually have switched to buying branded. And in the space, we being one of the largest brand with the widest assortment in terms of products and distribution, we were able to actually be that number one choice of the
Yeah,
consumer.
I totally agree with that. Like, Happilo is everywhere now, from airport shops to each household, including mine. We also, buy almonds because we have a small baby at home, so we need dry fruits to include in his diet. So we order from Happilo only. So yes, I totally agree with you that Happilo is now a household brand. But there are so many brands, D2C brands in India. Like every other day, there like someone is building, launching one D2C brand, and but there is one common struggle everyone is facing, which is distribution. Like everyone, not everyone, but many can build one product, right? But not everyone can, crack the distribution. And how did you crack the distribution? How did you acquire the first 100 customers, let's say?
See, we started very very small, right? Matlab, I never expected what will the the path of success be, or path of the long term journey be. I always believe in doing small things right, and when we started very very small, like some 10,000 odd rupees is how we started the company. We had just one more team member other than me, right? So it's just a team of two when we started. We were very very humble beginnings, but we were actually a beneficiary of some government schemes as well, right? There was a scheme where a government used to promote the nationalized banks to give funds to younger startups who had a vision to do some automation or invest in capex, right? So we got a 80 lakhs loan under the CGT MSC scheme, right? So we initially did not have to dilute our equity to raise some seed capital. So we were a beneficiary of a government scheme, and then we invested that into our automation as well. So that is how initially, which gave us a scale. And before that, even my wife helped me with some 20 lakhs of her life earnings to help me actually start up. In fact, she was running the entire household expenses and everything, and she had a job at that time, and I was trying to figure out my new startup. So it's basically, it was government initiatives, it was support from family, my parent, in fact my dad was a great inspiration. So in the initial days, you need a lot of support from family and friends and government initiatives as well, that actually helped us. And in terms of first set of 100 customers, I think because I was a retailer, I knew a lot of category people working in different categories across, say, a Big Basket or a Hyper City. During those days, was acquired by Big Bazaar later. So I went to Big Basket. I was telling them that this is the kind of products which are trying to launch. So he was pretty excited. He had the same problem what I had as a retailer, right? As a retailer, I had a problem of not getting these kind of stocks because they were randomly imported into India, or randomly smuggled into India unorganized way, where people used to carry in their bags, or some a mixed container somebody would import in a Crawford market or some unorganized market and redistribute in India, but there was no set rule to it, right? So Big Basket, the category guy, always had this problem that the products were not available when needed, because there is no system to it. Today, the system is much more organized. Food safety rules are much more uniform across the nation. And the veg logo, how do you mark them? How do you print the dates? What kind of expiries? What is allowed? What is not allowed? Earlier, it was not so stringent, and the streamlined things were not there. So the guy used to complain me that whenever there's a season, right, you always see uptick when it comes to Ganesh Chaturthi, Dasara, Diwali, in terms of gifting. People want to give
Yeah,
healthy snacks, dry fruits, and all, because earlier people
sweets.
used to give sweets and namkeens and all, but today people want to
Yeah,
be more healthy, want to be more trendy, and want products which are lasting for a longer time. For example, Happilo products typically have a shelf life of 9 to 12 months, right? So typically you buy products which are like sweets and all. I think the shelf life is like, say, 7 days, and people used to only pass it
yeah.
on. You give a box of
Son
laddu or
papdi.
a rasgulla to somebody, they'll again, they'll again, it will like passing the
Yeah.
buck kind of thing. So Big Basket had the same problem, that the category was there, the demand was there. They could see a lot of search happening, but the product availability was a problem. But they did not know whom to contact, because none of the international brand had an India office or an India representative to actually represent them. So when I went to them, he was pretty excited. So he told, "Okay, you give me 1 month exclusive launch for Big Basket. I will launch you across all 8 metro cities in India." So that was great opportunity for us, and that is how we acquired our first set of consumers. We did a small ad in newspaper as well, and we also gave exclusive rights to Big Basket to launch it for a month or so. And from there it was no stopping us. We tasted initial success because there was a vacuum in the market, because people wanted those kind of products but not available. And then we went to Hypercity, which was our first modern trade in Mumbai, one of the best stores in Malad, where we launched across modern trade. From there, was no looking up. Big Basket, we went to Amazon, then we went to Flipkart, then we went to all other marketplaces, and now we are also available in all the quick commerce marketplace like maybe Swiggy, Instamart, or Zepto and Blinkit and all. So we that's how we expanded. And in the offline as well, from say from Hypercity, we went to Big Bazaar, then we went to Reliance, and we actually covered the entire width and depth of the nation. Today we are available in 10,000 stores across India, and we have more than 200 distributor channel partners as well. And we are loving it actually, and we feel we have just started and we have a long way to
I
go.
wish you all the best to you and the Happilo team. You guys are doing a fabulous job. And there are so many other
Thank you
brands,
so much.
D2C brands, who are leveraging this gifting market, like Bombay Shaving Company, M Cafe, Forest Essential, and many other. They, sell their combined package, gift package to Indian consumers because Indians love gifting, right? And because you mentioned that when you were starting, your wife also helped you a lot, and I can totally relate with her and you because I'm also an entrepreneur's wife. So that started his startup, Baby Gogo. It was a healthcare startup. So spouses play a very important role, especially when they are entrepreneur spouses. So tell us, when you started, how was your family's reaction from where you started? Tell us about your background because I really believe that background and childhood plays a very important role. Like they shape you to, to become, to make you a person one is right now, right?
Yeah, I think giving a brief about my personal life, I think I am born to a farmer. My father used to grow a lot of coffee and pepper. I come from a remote place in Karnataka called as Sakleshpur. Today, a lot of people go there to holidaying. There are a lot of homestays have come up there, and people go there for trekking and things like that. I have been blessed to be born there. It rains like 8 months in a year. You always have to have a raincoat and a umbrella handy. So that's how my younger days passed. I did my schooling there in Sakleshpura. It is 225 kilometers from Bangalore. Then for higher education, actually, I shifted to Bangalore. I did my graduation in Bangalore, and I always had aspirations, to do my MBA and do something in marketing and finance. During that time, after my MBA, after my graduation, I did not want to do anything immediately for an MBA because I also wanted to have some experience, working before that. So actually, I joined a firm where it was into largely into spices trading, and I actually grew there and started international business there. So I got an opportunity to travel, say to Vietnam, Sri Lanka, China, and all the Malaysia, Singapore, and other countries, where I started importing a lot of spices and also exporting little bit to countries like UK and all. So that gave me a great insights in terms of international trade, in terms of when it comes to spices. So that's how the business, that's how my career actually started. And also then I was parallelly preparing to write this CAD, ZAT, and SNAP kind of the entrance exams, right? So that's how every graduate actually aspires to if he wants to do an MBA. So actually parallelly doing that as well. So I was happened to clear one of the exams, and I joined SEMHRD Pune for my MBA 2-year course. That was a 2-year residential program which I joined, and it was from 2008 to 10. I was actually based out of Pune doing my residential program there. That's where I learned a lot of things in terms of people, in terms of team, in terms of strategy, marketing, working with groups and teams and all. So, and that's where I also met my wife, or my friend earlier and my wife later. So I met her in my MBA days as well. So, but quite fortunate to learn a lot of things in my MBA days. That's where I realized the power of brand, how a brand like Levi's and all, who also send a jeans, but we see, a lot of jeans are available at say 1/10 the price as well. But Levi's commands that kind of quality because people aspire to wear Levi's. They aspire to show off their tags that they are wearing a Levi's. So that's how not only Levi's, in terms of a lot of other brands. Happened to study a lot of brands and try to understand the power of brand. So that is the way I decided that I would be working on only creating brands. That's how my life is going to be destined with. So that's where the passion actually began in terms of marketing, and also coming from a Marwadi background. I always was good at numbers, and finance also quite kind of always was close to me. So my majors was in marketing and minor in finance. So after my MBA, I got an opportunity to to join Yes Bank. But then I had other ideas. I did not want to take placement from the campus. I also wanted to pursue my entrepreneurship journey. So after some 6 months of doing some working, I wanted to create retail chain of stores. Something which was not available in India that time. Modern trade was actually starting to happen. It was all GT back then, right? So modern trade was starting to happen. There was a couple of few stores of Big Bazaar which has already started. I wanted to start something of a premium nature of gourmet stores. That's when I launched a retail brand called as Satvik. So I was primarily selling vegetarian stuff, gourmet products, sugar-free stuff, cookies, chocolates, dry fruits, snacks, and other things. So that's how it started. That's how my aspiration in terms of category also started, where I started learning about the product. And being a young startup after my MBA, I got to work on multiple facets of the company, right? So I used to learn about procurement, about marketing, about finance, about social media, purchase, brand management, assortment, merchandising, operations, and things like that. So it was great experience, that time. So that is what actually, these kind of experiences in terms of retail, MBA, before that doing a lot of import export, and did also did little bit of distribution after my retail days. So all this actually gave a great footing for me to launch my dream in terms of Happilo. That's how it started. And before that, I branched out my retail journey to almost 15 stores, which was a mix of own stores and franchise. Until 2015, we had some 15 stores. After I did a little bit of distribution as well, where I wanted to also learn how the S&D works, because I thought for any brand to succeed, I think distribution is very, very critical. So I did that for say around 6 to 8 months or 1 year, and parallelly was working on to launch Happilo. And in, like, say, September, October, we happened to launch Happilo in 2016. So I think this year we'll complete around 6 years of our journey, and it has been one exciting journey
Wow,
so far.
congratulations on completing 6 years. Vikas, you have 17 years of work experience, right? And you have 10 years of experience specifically working in food industry, right? And there are so many entrepreneurs who are starting up, they don't even have college degree, and you have such solid work experience. Like, आपको क्या लगता है कि ये सॉलिड एक्सपीरियंस कैसे हेल्प करता है, लाइक हाउ डज इट एग्जैक्टली हेल्प?
All my experience has been food and uh, food and related products only. So I've been blessed with that, and also a lot of exposure in terms of initial days in terms of farming, product, agriculture, and all those things, due because my father was having his own estates and farms. He also used to aggregate a lot of products and sell it across various regions as well. So I had a good understanding of how business runs, or how the products are grown and things like that. So the basic was very good in terms of, maybe I got a lot of learnings from my father, so that was helpful. And also the work experience, like that 17 years of experience, the experience actually is very, very critical, because you do very less mistakes than, what is good, what is, but in today's world it's very easy to spend a lot of money, and because otherwise, and get no returns. For example, when you want to promote your own website, acquiring a customer on an Instagram or a Facebook, or even on Google, it's like, typically the CAC, the acquisition of the customer acquisition cost, is typically around 500, 600 rupees. So that's very, very expensive, right? Today, you in food, you will not have so much margins. Say, like in IT company, in tech companies, where the customer once downloads the app, is there forever. In food, you have to
Yeah,
actually every month. It's a monthly consumption or a weekly consumption product, right? You have to be
yeah.
relevant every time. So the acquisition cost is very high. So here, end of the day, I think we have to try to build a strong brand equity. That's very, very critical. The customer has to recall the brand, and so that, your acquisition cost reduces. Otherwise, you quick every time, if you want to acquire the customer, then if you cannot retain them, that's very difficult. So I think most important for startups is to, true to their vision, the mission of the brand, create consistency in terms of the communication, and build a, very hygienic, branding and marketing, so that the brand recall is very strong, right? So that customer can connect to them. For example, if you're selling a kind of products, cannot tomorrow just start selling an X kind of product. The customer will get confused. The brand has to stand for one thing, cannot stand for multiple things. So we believe, the branding and the communication plays a very key role. How the customer perceives you, in their mind, what you perceive is not very important. What the customer perceives, and how satisfied he is by using your products or by buying your products, that's the most critical. I think customer service plays a very, very important role. And again, be true to the brand philosophies, quality, packaging, trust, and communication. Then, as you told, distribution plays a great role. So there are multiple factors for a brand success, but I think consistency is most
Yes,
important.
I think you are right. You mentioned about branding and marketing, and you recently partnered with Rajasthan Royals, right? Tell us about it, how it will add value to your business, and tell us about the other brand initiatives Happilo is working on. I saw two ad films recently. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. I think see, we always wanted to create a big impact in terms of branding, And when I started, we actually have I think who all joined us in the initial days, right? In the 2016s and 70s, around 90% of the people are still with us, right? So at that time, we were very nascent and we didn't have much deeper pockets. I used to try to see the IPL and say that one day we'll be there on a cap somewhere or on the trouser somewhere. We'll be having a small logo of ours where people will be seeing us on IPL. So when the opportunity came, it happened with Rajasthan Royals. When I met the CEO, I was quite fascinated about the kind of setup they have, kind of motivation they have, kind of treatment or kind of social media following they have. Very good stuff and great ethos the Rajasthan Royals team had. So it immediately clicked, right? They're a royal brand and we are a premium snack brand. So we thought the partnership can be actually a lot of synergistic and a lot of natural integration can happen in terms of consumption as well. So immediately it clicked, and we met couple of times, and the deal was done. So we happened to be the title sponsors for Rajasthan Royals for this IPL season, and it has been a fantastic exposure to the brand today. And not only in India, in globally across, people recognize brand Happilo, and on the back of that, we are actually now going to international markets as well. We are starting our exports. We are setting up systems where we can sell on, say, Amazon.com in US, and Amazon Australia and Amazon Middle East. So we are actually expanding, and the association with Risal has been terrific. Great eyeballs, and a lot of traction. A lot of brand recall has been created because of that, and it was maybe a dream, which was a very distant dream 4 years back when I dreamt on it, and when I achieved it today, a lot of colleagues who are working with us like 4 5 years, they came and they had teary eyes and said like, we had discussed this, and this is happening now. So I also couldn't believe till I watched 2 3 matches that yeah, we are there. So it was quite a emotional and a passionate moment. But in terms of marketing, I think there is no food brand actually who has done this kind of association in IPL for many years now. I think we are trying to break that clutter. It's not only the gaming and the IT companies who are there, and actually we are a first food company to represent, and hopefully first of many to come
No,
there.
I totally agree with you. And I was watching this ad on YouTube, while preparing the questions for our conversation. And there were very solid, positive comments in the comment section. People were saying that I think this was the ad which comes in between the IPL matches. So they were saying that this is one ad we don't mind watching between the matches, because there was some bear who was, holding
Right.
this gun, and you know there were dry fruits all over the house. There was something like that, but there were so many happy comments in the comment section. So congratulations, Vikas. Happilo is doing really, really well. And being a consumer, I also believe in the brand, because we have a small baby, and when you have a small baby, you don't actually compromise with the quality. So congratulations on the success of Happilo.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Vikas, as I heard that 70% of your business come from e-commerce platforms like Amazon, BigBasket, NetMits, and you mentioned BigBasket played a very important role, to kick-started your journey with Happilo. Tell us about the more platforms. Like, how did you crack these platforms to help other entrepreneurs, who are trying to start in D2C space?
Regarding the ad, I think quite exciting. I think thank you so much for your kind words. I think with the ad, we are trying to break the clutter, right? Today, everybody comes and on the screens and say the same monotonous stuff. People are
Yeah.
not interested to see, right? We have a very small window, like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, to create an impact. So with that, launching our mascot Happy, the TED was completely in line with our strategy, where we want to break the clutter and want to associate Happilo as a premium dry fruit brand is what we wanted to establish, and that too in between IPL. When people are seeing the logo, they also have to associate what the logo stands for, what does it mean. So we wanted to do that, and we always wanted to take a celebrity, but we thought while doing a lot of brainstorming, we thought we should launch a mascot that can be carried across in all forms of communication, right? And talking about the e-commerce and the business what have grown, yes. See, pre-COVID, we were actually most of the business was coming from modern trade for us. We were very strong in terms of modern trade, and the e-commerce was also parallelly happening. But during the COVID times, the systems completely changed. People stopped going to modern trade, or there were restrictions in terms of malls, or there were a lot of lockdowns happening, right? So that's how e-commerce was the only source where people could buy stocks. So that's how the e-commerce business actually shot up for us, and the modern trade actually went down. Today, but again, the modern trade is coming back again. Thankfully, the COVID has gone down. Today, a lot of people have started venturing to malls, started traveling, started going to airports, because we are available across all airports in India, across all malls in India. We're available across all modern trades. And other than e-commerce, we're available in many other touch points, and we're also launching our own stores as well now pan India. So we have a lot of plans in terms of growing our offline business. But yes, e-commerce has been a great contributor, and COVID has been an enabler for that. Because when people went to e-commerce to buy products, and we were one of the largest brands available on all e-commerce platforms, so we got some natural traction there. COVID was very negative in terms of a lot of people losing their lives, a lot of health problems, a lot of lockdowns. But in terms of healthy snacking, when people believe that eating healthy
Yeah.
is critical, so people trusted Happilo, and we are thankful to our consumers for that. And that also helped us grow our e-commerce business. And today, I think largely around 60-65% of the business comes from e-commerce, and the rest is offline. But I think going forward, we have a lot of plans to grow our offline business. So in the long term, I think it will be 50-50 kind of thing. And if you talk about how D2C brands should focus on, say, marketplaces or own websites, I think it is a long journey, right? I think they should enjoy the journey than think about the destination. It will be a daily hustle, right? It's not easy actually, because there's so many brands, so many competition, and the customer acquiring cost is going high day by day,
Yeah.
right? The more the spends, everybody is bidding to acquire the same customer, right? So the Googles and the Facebooks have a lot of great technology platforms, and but they also charge you to acquire that customer. So I think we have to be smart enough. We have to do a lot of pivots. We have to keep working on our data so that you don't actually spend on unnecessary keywords. We have to be smart enough there, because it is very easy to keep spending and not look at the returns, because we believe we have to be lean. We have to be mindful on where we are spending, and we have to do it one step at a time. And trying to just scale 1 to 100, it's not going to happen. It will take time, it will take months, and it will take years. But you have to be on it, be consistent, and keep focus. And building a great team is also very very important. Otherwise, long term success is.
I completely agree with you. You said that pandemic in some way helped us to have more trust in more brands. Like my mom-in-law, she used to bring dry fruits from our hometown. So because we were new in Bangalore, we didn't knew any dry fruit shops, and so she used to bring dry fruits from Delhi. She had some set dry fruit shops, but things have changed. Pandemic happened and we were not allowed to go outside, step outside. So we started ordering dry fruits, because dry fruits we need because we have a small baby, and in general also you consume almonds and other healthy things. So that's how Happilo got introduced to our life, and it's been, I think, 1.5 year we have been ordering from Happilo only, all kind of dry fruits. And I think you also send some mixed trails and snacks along with the big size almond or other dry fruit stuffs we order. Vikas, tell us about your learnings as founder. Like it's been 6 years for you, building Happilo. Tell us about the key learnings you have learned over the last 6 years.
There are a lot of learnings. I think I don't think I can cover in a maybe an hour also. But I think, yeah, if you talk about few key points, I think you have to wear multiple hats, right? Today you have to be a finance manager. Tomorrow you have to be a marketing manager. Tomorrow you have to act like an operations guy. So basically, running a startup, you get exposure to multiple verticals in the company. So then you when you mature, and but I think when the system grows, right, parallel is very very important to work on the operational aspect of it. We faced also difficulties when the demand was great. We also had to scale up our operations very very quickly, right? And there were a lot of strange things can happen. A lockdown can happen in your area. The police might stop people from traveling, so you have to be very quick to pivot, right? So when what happened during the lockdown, when the lockdown happened, I think I was sitting at home for say good 15 days, and we had nothing to do, right? But the expenses were still going on. You cannot say that you not pay to your team members, or you not pay your rentals. You cannot aside from that, so we are proud to say that we are one of the few companies who had zero layoff and 100% payout of every individual. In fact, we increased our strength almost 2 to 3x during the COVID times itself in terms of capacity. Today, we are a more than 300 plus company in terms of our manpower, in terms of our team strength. If I talk about, we are more than 300 plus, and so basically you have to be very very nimble and able to quickly pivot. When COVID happened, 15 days we're sitting at home, we actually wanted to open up, right? Because e-commerce was
Correct.
starting to open up and people, there was a desperation in terms of
Yeah.
availability of products. So we went and met the assistant commissioner of police, right? And I had to very convince him that snacks and dry fruits are also essential. It's not only roti chawal which is essential, right? So he was not willing to agree. I had to almost convince him for a couple of hours. I did not go from his office. Then he issued me a couple of passes. I said, okay, take one pass for your car, and he gave me a 2 plus 2 4 passes. Then I went and traveled to meet my ops guy and gave him one pass. He said, I will not come. Police will start hitting me. So lot of things we have to manage. Being a founder, there are so many things to manage, and quite that's the excitement, right? And when we look behind now, if we would have not done that, right, today we would have not achieved what we have achieved. So there are places where you have to take risk. There are places where you have to be nimble, where you have to convince people, authorities, governments, rules, laws, colleagues themselves. So you have to be nimble, you have to be positive, and you have to take care of your team as well. Everybody associated with the company might be suppliers, might be customers, might be distributors. So I think being nimble, being pivoting as and when the situation demands is most critical for a startup. It's very easy to say, okay, ये सब बंदे हम भी बंद करके बैठ जाएंगे.
I think this is how entrepreneurs operate.
You're not pivoting enough. If you feel you had a strategy 2016 and if you want that to be relevant in 2022, you might have pivoted that 100 times. So the pivoting keeps happen. The core remains the same, but if you don't pivot, if you're not thinking ahead, I think it's very difficult. Today, I'm thinking, instead of our whole core team is thinking, how do we make the Diwali bigger? Because Diwali, the demand
Yeah.
is much higher in terms of gifting. We have a lot of corporates who actually buy gifting from us for their employees, for their gifting events. So now we are already preparing for our Dasara Diwali event. So we as a startup or as a business, we also think
Yes.
ahead of time. We cannot think for Diwali at the time of Diwali, right? So that is what I advise to all startups. I think we have to be positive. We have to keep pivoting. We cannot be very very rigid to a particular idea. That is my idea and is great. We have to make this work. That's great. But our situation, you have to keep pivoting. You have to keep be nimble on your foot. Build a great team, and that is what going to last for
Such
long.
an inspiring story, because, and all entrepreneurs, successful or less successful, more successful, they all inspire us because they think ahead of the time. They are positive. They are always operating. There are no weekends, no holidays for them. That even if they are holidaying, they are always thinking about the business, right?
I think I haven't taken a Sunday off maybe for continuously first 4 years of my startup. I think in 2021 22 is like last financial year when I started to take Sundays off. First 4 years, I think there was no Sundays, no weekends, or nothing. We used to work 7 days a week. Last 6 months or 9 months, I think I have little started taking Sunday off because I was God gifted me with my
Wow.
second daughter. So my wife was complaining that first daughter you never enjoyed your childhood, at least enjoy the second daughter. So my daughters are 6 and 1. So with the first daughter, I couldn't enjoy much of her early days. It was all my wife
Yeah.
was taking care. So in the second daughter, I thought I'll give at least my Sundays to her. So that's how Sundays I've started taking break now.
Congratulations.
In fact, we also raised some fundings also, right? Thank you so much. We also raised some fundings. Even my board of directors tell me that you
Yeah.
should take some break. so so they're also quite positive and quite supportive, and we believe that we are here for the long term, and we want to actually not only be relevant to India, we want to be a global brand coming from
No, no,
India.
I'm happy that I scheduled this, conversation on Saturday. Please enjoy your Sunday with your daughter.
Great.
Like, she deserves at least Sundays, Sunday time with her father.
No, but as you told, right, the
Yeah.
mind keeps going. I do take a lot of interviews on Sundays because we also need to hire a great team, right? So my HR team always blocks 2 3 hours on Sundays as well to for at least you do some interviews online so that you don't have to go anywhere. Again, see, work, we don't feel like work. Actually, it's all about passion, right? When you are passionately doing something, the day of the month doesn't matter, and time of the day also doesn't matter. You can easily do 10 12 hours of the work, and you still feels doesn't feel that
Yeah.
pressure of that. But you should also take a back
Yeah.
seat, enjoy with your family sometime, so that that also gives you a lot of recoup and you can come back even stronger.
Absolutely.
So that's when I in the initial recent times I've started taking that Sunday break. Otherwise, for me it's 7 bar 7 bar 24 365 days. Happily is all around my mind running around.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why we say it's hard to be an entrepreneur. It's not easy. It's not an easy job at all. And hats off to you for pulling it off so beautifully. And I hope you enjoy more time with your daughter.
Thank you so much.
And
Yeah.
because you mentioned pivots a lot of times, tell us about the major pivot you had in the last 6 years.
See, I think when we started, e-commerce was not relevant actually. We were actually building our brand for the modern trade, and where we wanted to expand. But getting into modern trade was very difficult because modern trades, it's not an easy barrier to crack, right? So we actually had to be persistent, right? We when we went there, they were not interested to keep the brand. We had to explain them. वो बोलते थे कि भाई, who will buy dry fruits in as a brand? It's easily available in unorganized
Hmm.
markets, right? And even for example, to convince them, just to we said that you keep the stocks. If it doesn't sell, we will take it back, right? So, and a lot of people, a lot of modern trade used to not even pay up on time, right? So there were a lot of challenges back then, but we were actually persistent. Then we put up a lot of promoters across all modern trade, and they were actually talking to customers, educating them about the brand, about the process, about the hygiene, about the shelf life. Because typically an unorganized brand, the shelf life will be say 15 20 days, but as a branded product like Happilo, you get 9 to 12 months, and the consistency is always there, right? You buy any packs of, you'll have the same crunch. We don't, when we roast our products, right, we don't use any oil. The products are never fried. It's all oven roasted, and we use a lot of pink salt in them. So the product is naturally very healthy, very crunchy, lasts for a longer period of time. Even if somebody wants to have a drink, or at 8 p.m. wants to have enjoy a drink, he wants to eat something healthy. Though he's drinking unhealthy stuff, but the perception, he doesn't want to go for a pack of chips, right? He wants to eat something healthy. So by doing a lot of communication, having a lot of brand promoters, we were actually convinced them to eat Happilo as a snack rather than go for a pack of chips. So our advantage was we want to convert the unhealthy to eat healthy, and also convert the unorganized to organized. So lot of challenges in terms of, because people बोलते हैं यार healthy बोलने के लिए होता है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं, तो अरे खाना तो टेस्टी होता है ऐसा. So we also solved that problem. Earlier we always talking कि भाई health. We also then realized only health will not work. You have to
Tasty.
make it tasty. You have to make it convenient. We introduced the Ziploc pouches, which was first in the industry, right? And earlier nobody used to sell in stand-up pouches. Stand-up pouches are a little bit expensive, and people always to sell that in a plain transparent bag. We introduced a three-layer packaging with a lot of metallic packaging. We introduced stand-up pouches which can stand in modern trade shelf. अगर आप वो stand-up pouch नहीं तो गिर जाएगा. और अगर end of the day in retail, right,
Yeah.
visibility is key. Otherwise, customer will not pick the stocks. So we then introduced that stand-up pouches. Then we introduced the zipper pouches as well, which people can consume little bit and again seal the pack and keep it with them. So a lot of innovations we did, and today if you see every dry fruit brand or every snack brand today comes with a stand-up pouch and a Ziploc. But we are proud to say that we are one of the early brands or early adapters in the category. So these are all pivot we learned on the go. We never had plans that we'll have a zipper pack for modern trade and stand-up pouch and all those things. We were also thinking traditionally only, but we had to pivot. We had to understand that we have to be different. The packaging has to communicate more about the product than the product itself, because packaging will give you the first sale for the product. The product will give you the second sale. So these fascinating things we are able to do, and again it's all teamwork. Learning from consumer experiences. We have also gone around many times, right? So, and we have been able to learn it now. We are setting up warehouses pan India, because what we're all supplying from Bangalore earlier, right? So the lead time to customer was very big. Like people used to get the product after 5 days, 7 days, 9 days. The customer experience was not good. So we thought this is not going to happen. So we invested a lot in terms of technology. We set up SAP systems. We went to multiple warehousing format. Now we can reach the customer same day or next day, right? And still we believe in a lot of cases we are not able to do that, where there's still delay happening. So it's a constant pivot. You cannot be satisfied. Today in the era where people are delivering, e-commerce platform are delivering products in 10, 15 minutes. You cannot take 5 days to
Yes.
deliver a product. So, but they are strategically a better operational player than us. But again, for us, it's time to pivot and time to learn from them. and trying to implement good things. So, and that happened. Then GST happened in between for us. We were actually doing VAT and all. Being a young company with
Yeah.
limited resources, right? You have to do a lot of data entry, a lot of rework and all. So we had to quickly pivot. But GST was a great boon for every industry, I must say, because the transparency increased. Earlier, selling a product in Karnataka was saying 2% VAT. The same product in Delhi was 14.5% VAT, because every state was managing the product differently. And then GST came along, everything was uniformed, but we did not have the technology to set up for that. Things were very manual back then we set it up, and so a lot of things. So these all things were not planned actually, right? So this happen, and you have to keep moving forward, hire consultants for that, get that thing done, train people accordingly. We are also always selling around 200 gram packs. Then e-commerce came along, they wanted bigger packs. We created virtual combos for them. So the combo started selling, so people get two products at once. E-commerce people will get happy, so that the ASP increases. So a lot
Yeah.
of things. We never thought we'll sell combos in online, but it happens. So we're pretty excited. And even today, if you talk about the IPL association, right? So we got to the IPL association, and we never thought ki bhai, we'll do something as big as an IPL, because in India, I think there is nothing bigger
Yeah.
than cricket or movies, right? So that was again quite a breakthrough. It was not thought process like 6 months पहले और एक साल पहले हमने सोचा था कि हम IPL करेंगे. We cannot think like the HULs of the world, right? We have to be very
Yeah.
nimble on foot. When you get an opportunity, you have to take it. And that is where it's if the start running a startup is ex tempo. It cannot be pre-planned and executed. It has to be on the moment. You have to
Yeah.
seize the moment, right? So I believe
You
in
have
doing
to be
that.
on the moments and you have to be ahead of the time, and the list keeps going on for the founder. Because you have so many customers who love Happilo, right? I'm one such example. Tell us about one customer story that's really close to your heart, if you remember.
During my initial days, right, we didn't have much technology and all those things. So we had a customer query in Whitefield, which was little far from our factory where we operate. He was actually a senior citizen, right? He was 60 plus. So he called me and said, I'm not able to get the stocks in my nearby store. How do I do it? I said, it will be available in some time, then you can buy there. So I called up my local sales team there. They said that they're about to connect the stocks in a day or two, but he was actually wanted to travel somewhere, and he was a great fan of Happilo. So what we did was we actually started sending the stocks directly from the factory. We usually don't ship from the factory. I asked my one of my close team members that go there and personally hand over the stocks to the person, and we also gave him a small thank you note, and with one more additional pack to him saying happy journey for the thing. And he was super excited. And then even now he's in touch, and he sends me pack shots of it's like a retail store for us, right? How many store packs are there in a retail store? He actually has those many packs in his kitchen closet. So that's quite fascinating that he says I am a Happilo customer forever. So these kind of small stories actually a great
Yeah.
inspiration, right? And we are what we are because of our consumers and the love what is there. And basically Happilo stands for happiness and love. That's how the term was also coined, right? So we believe in spreading happiness and love through healthier
Such a sweet
products, which
story.
can change people
Such a
for the good.
sweet story. I think these stories keep you, like, help you keep moving. You remember these, like, people share their stories and you remember these stories, and when the time is tough, you don't feel like taking the next step, and during those times, you remember these stories and you're like, no, I have to.
I'll tell you one more story, right? Matlab, we were one of the pioneers, just I realized one more story. We were one of the pioneers to launch a trail mixes in India, right? So when we launched our first set of 4 trail mixes in India and launched the BigBasket, one of our customers called me and complained that आपके trail mix में you have to put pistachios, but those are with shell, right? आप shell में डालोगे, trail mix are usually have to be had in
Yeah.
one go. राइट, अगर आपने शेल डाल दिया है तो शेल में खा लूंगी तो मेरा दांत टूट जाएगा. तो शी वाज वेरी पॉजिटिव इन द कंप्लेंट, बट इट वाज अ ग्रेट फीडबैक फॉर अस. Immediately we pivoted. Within 15 days we changed the composition of the product, and we introduced the same product without shell, and we sent her one first pack to
Wow.
her and saying thank you for the feedback. And we learned great knowledge there, because we never thought in that way that the trail mix are an on the go consumption.
Yeah.
It's not to be
Abs-
opened and had, right? So and thanks to her, we happened to change the product, and today almost sell 2 million packs per month, and we are one of the largest sellers for trail mixes in India. And so that was again learning, right? It was small complaint which we turned into a product improvisation, and we sent her one pack as well, and she was delighted that the brand is
Yeah.
hearing so closely, right? And it was a
Yeah.
mistake on our part, but it was not ignorance, but it was every day how can we improve. So we got an opportunity to improve, and we immediately
That's
implemented that.
so
So being a
lovely.
startup, that helps. You can quickly
Yeah, that's so
improvise.
lovely. I love the way you don't only listen to your customer or implement their feedback. The way you get back to them. Gave that pack of dry fruit to that person who was who wanted to travel and wanted to have Happilo with them. Very beautiful. Thank you so much, Vikas, for joining me today for this conversation. It was lovely having chatting with you. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences with us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for having me here.